It's the B&M Baked Podcast. Mark here on the mic, Brian behind the camera. We're here at ComiCONN in Bridgeport, Connecticut, at the Webster Bank Arena. Tons of interviews coming at you. There's cool cars behind us that I can see already. I think I see the Hill Street Blues car and the Shield car. Dream On's playing in the background. It's going to be fantastic. We're here at the B&M Baked Podcast. We're here at ComiCONN, and we found K.I.T. from Knight Rider, one of my all-time cars from childhood. And we're here with Joe, the man who created K.I.T., or this kit at least.
That's right.
Tell us about how you decided to make your own kit.
Big fan of the show, obviously, but I think what made me want to do it is before my son was born, we were big into motorcycling, so my wife and I would ride all the time, and then when he was born, that pretty much came to an end.
Yeah.
For a good reason,
that
but
usually happens.
we were looking for another hobby, something to do, and we started thinking, how cool would it be to do a custom car, and then you start thinking of the cost and time and what can we do, and it just hit me. I was a huge fan of the show. I watched it all the time. I still watched it to this day, so I was like, why not do a kit replica? You don't see them very often. It's something that was a lot of fun.
So I'm assuming it's a totally original car, pretty much?
Yeah, this is...
Not much you had to do to it, really, besides the making of the dials and things, but...
Well, the car was actually in pretty rough shape when I got it. It was
Okay.
It was an 88 Trans Am. It was in good running condition. The body was solid. The frame was good. But, as far as the paint goes, the interior goes, the cosmetics like the wheels, the hood, the nose, the scanner, there was a lot of effort that went into getting the car to look how it is today. The interior was completely gutted, obviously, to fit the Knight Rider dash in there, the seats and stuff. It's a fully functional dash. If you want to turn it on, what you can do,
we could...
just put your head in this area and say the words K.I.T. activate, and that'll turn it on.
All right, let's see what it does. K.I.T. activate. Oh, man. That's awesome. Full operational video screen and everything. Oh, man. Oh, man.
All the gauges that you see, they all fully function, so I could see things like my speed, my fuel, my engine temperature.
Full tack, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, that's all there.
Man.
If you remember much about the show, K.I.T. would do all these special effects like turbo boost and stuff.
Yeah.
This car can do some of that. What I've done in the front,
You have NOS in it?
I don't have NOS.
Oh, okay. To say, if you're going for turbo boost, oh, man.
So this tank
Carbon
back
monoxide.
here, this is a CO2 tank.
Yeah.
If I were to open this up and then push a button in the dash, that'll push CO2 out of the front nose to put fires out like K.I.T. would have done. This also powers a rocket. I have a rocket tube under the fender down here.
Oh, my gosh.
So if I had a rocket loaded, I'd be able to fire it from the back, just like K.I.T. would have done.
Oh, man. So it runs on regular gas?
Of course, yeah. It doesn't run on turbine fuel or anything like that.
Nothing crazy?
No.
Nothing you have to take some Israelis or some of the Palestinians?
Nope, still regular gasoline.
Yeah.
It's not like Mr. Fusion in the Back to the Future car.
So how long of a process was it to go from buying it to this?
It took about 3 years. I started
Wow.
in 2009 and 3 years to get to this point. I mean, it's never done. There's always something to do, but this is about how long it's taken.
So you take it to cons and stuff. What do you like? Is you have like how do you get through cons and stuff? Do you go through a person, or do you have you just show up? If people want to have K.I.T. show up at their house, is there a way to do that?
Yeah, well, a lot of times will reach out. I do a lot of fundraising work, a lot of charity work. So I just try to get my name out there, let people know that I'm there. If they want to follow us, we're on a Facebook page called Notchback K.I.T. You'll actually see the name right behind you. If you type in that name on Facebook, you'll find us. And if you're ever interested in bringing the car, or if you have a fundraising event, charity event, I'm always happy to do it for them.
That's pretty sweet. I gotta say, it looks just like it did on TV, and
very close.
it's awesome. I gotta say, it's a great job.
Thank you, man.
Thanks for giving us the time. I know everyone's been stopping, taking pictures, and I'm assuming every guy from 30 on up is like, oh my God.
Yeah,
So
K.I.T.'s the bigger fan when you compare him to Michael Knight back there.
no one cares about
No one
David
cares
Hasselhoff.
about Hasselhoff.
it's all about Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World,
That's right.
the voice of K.I.T. So we're here with K.I.T. I've totally geeked out now. We'll be back with more here in the B&M Baked Podcast. We're back here in the B&M Baked Podcast here at wonderful Bridgeport, Connecticut. And we're here with the guys from Homeless Comics, or the guy from Homeless Comics, George O'Connor. So, George, tell us about Homeless Comics and how it all got started.
Sure. Homeless Comics is myself and my longtime friend and artist, Griffin, who was very kind when I said, hey, I've got this idea for a comic book, and you draw. Do you want to come on this goofy journey with me? And he said, sure. So the first book we put together is called Healed. The elevator pitch for that is everybody wakes up one morning, and there are no more life-threatening diseases or illnesses. So anybody that had cancer the night before, they wake up, it's gone. And what we do is we're not interested in what healed everybody. We want to know what would happen next, how those ramifications would play out. So we throw in stories about what would happen to the pharmaceutical industry the day after everything gets healed. What would happen to, long-time cancer researchers who have spent their entire life being this thing, and then suddenly they're not that thing anymore. And then down to really small stories about a family that thinks they're never going to see grandma again. And she's in the home, but the one day she wakes up and she's fine and she's lucid and she's realized she has just lost the last 3 years of her life.
Wow.
So it was a lot of playing around with what if, and whenever we came on a topic that Griffin and I, the hair on our arms would raise up, we go, all right, we're gonna explore
Let's throw that in the book.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a ton of fun.
Sweet. So now you have the new book out now.
Yes, we have. Baby. So we took everything we learned with Healed and put it into Baby. The first thing with Baby is it's an all-ages book. After doing shows for 4 or 5 years, we kind of saw that on the con floor, there weren't a ton of books where both parents and kids could enjoy it at the same level. I'm not saying we're as good as Looney Tunes, but that's the bar we're aiming at, where everybody can watch it and get something entertaining out of it, even if it's on different levels. So Baby is our take on the monster from the deep destroying the city, if that monster was a little baby monster who was lost, confused, looking for his mom, and accidentally trashes Atlantic City along the way. And then we've got our poor little guy being chased by the evil cryptozoologist who wants to capture him for his own fame and fortune. And of course, we've got the cop who's 1 day away from retirement and just trying to survive the whole thing.
Yeah, you have to have that guy. Yeah. He's mandatory. So if people wanted to get one of these books, how would they get about getting them?
If you can't make it to ComiCONN, and why aren't you here? Or if you were here, why weren't you here? You can go to our website, homelesscomics.com, and we've got links there. For Healed, it's a trade, so not only can you find it on Comixology, but it's also available on Amazon. And for Baby, our first issue is out. We're hoping our second issue will be out by the end of September. We've got links to Comixology.
Awesome. So keep an eye out for Baby, the new one from Homeless Comics, but also Healed if you're looking for some kind of scary, everything gets healed stuff going on. So check that out as well. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it. And we'll be back with more here in the Baked Podcast in just a bit. And we're back here at the B&M Baked Podcast with the one, the only, Brian O'Halloran. Thank you so much. We've come to cons. You've been at cons. It's like we've always been crossing in the night, ships crossing in the night, I say.
Well, we finally have
collided. And
absolutely.
I'll be the iceberg. You can be the Titanic, and it'll be great.
Oh, well, all right.
That makes it happen. So everyone always asks you, I'm sure, about Clerks and all that stuff, but we want to know about...
slowly sinking that.
We want to know about Brutal Massacre and Vulgar. So tell us a little about that.
Well, Brutal Massacre was a film written and directed by Stephen Mena, who's done Malevolence, Bereavement, and a couple other horror films. And in shooting those films, he had so many issues while filming, he decided to write a film based on the issues that you have making horror films. So he wrote this comedy called Brutal Massacre. It's hilarious. It stars David Naughton. It's got Gunnar Hansen, the original Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You have Ellen Sandweiss. Actually, all the original women from The Evil Dead are in it. Wow. You have Jerry Bednob, who's a hilarious stand-up comic who's in it. He was from The 40-Year-Old Virgin. And you have so many more. You got Ken Faree, who's from the original Night of the Living Dead, and this comedy, which is pretty much a fake documentary, or mockumentary, as they like to say, about this film, and it's hilarious. You can get it on Netflix or Amazon or Best Buy, things like that.
And then Vulgar, tell us a bit about Vulgar and how that came about.
Well, Vulgar, if you ever watch the original Clerks, the very beginning of Clerks starts with this animation of this clown that comes in, goes behind a dressing screen, and then comes out with this bustier and high heels in front of a child. And one day, Brian Johnson, very good friend of Kevin Smith, who's also one of the stars of AMC's Comic Book Men, and also the real-life inspiration for the character of Randall in Clerks, was talking to Kevin at his office going, what do you think this guy's story would be? Like, what got him to the point where he dressed up like that? So Kevin said, you should write a script about it. And so he did, and this script is about this young guy who's a party clown for kids, your typical birthday parties type of thing, just not making enough money to make a living. So he decides to come up with a party clown for adults. And his first gig he arrives at the event, and his first event goes horribly wrong, like very horribly wrong. So the movie takes this left turn into this weird, bizarre world, and I don't want to spoil it for those out there, but if you get a chance to see it, you want to see the unrated version, the theatrical cut of it.
Of course.
Yeah. And so you can get that, I think, on Netflix as well and Amazon, but your best bet is to probably get the actual DVD, the theatrical version off of Amazon.
Alrighty. So where else can we see Brian O'Halloran besides here at one of the Comic-Cons? Is there anything coming up for you in the future that people can look out for?
Yeah, there's a post-apocalyptic film called Hindsight 2020, which I'm one of the stars in that. That's in post-production right now. Hopefully they can get that done and be out either the film festival circuit or distribution by the beginning of next year. But you can look it up at hindsight2020themovie.com.
Alrighty, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. We enjoyed you in Clerks, of course. Clerks, of course, was the greatest thing that I've ever seen. Right. Growing up, the first independent movie I ever saw, actually. Right on. But thank you for the time. Appreciate it. And we'll be back with more here in the B&M Baked Podcast.
Or Bizarro World Podcast.
Bizarro World Podcast,
which we were joking before this aired.
We're back here in the B&M Baked Podcast here at ComiCON, and we're here with the guys from Power Kid Comics and Sick Puppy Comics. We're here with Brent. So tell us a bit about Power Kid Comics.
I am the writer and artist of a book called Power Kid Comics, and I basically started this out because there's not a lot of good books for kids out there. So I kind of wanted to do something nice that was positive and fun for the kids, that's interactive as well. A lot of in these books, I have a joke page, I have a fan art page, and I'm always trying to do something to keep the kids motivated. I also published a book called The Sentinel as well. It's a little bit older crowd, but it's still really good stuff. And it's all about just having fun.
Awesome. So how did you get involved in the whole comic book writing thing? Did you start somewhere else and then branch out on your own, or?
Pretty much. I've always been a fan since I was a young kid. When I saw the spinny racks in the old days with the comic books on them, I was a huge fan, and I said, that's what I want to do. So I've been doing it since, and I've been doing it professionally since 2006. And it's really good now because there's a lot of tools out there on the computer and the web that allow you to make your own books, as opposed to going to Marvel or any of those. So it's just always just trying to get your product out there.
All right. So if someone wanted to get Power Kid Comics or Sentinel, where would they go to get that?
They can either find me at the shows that I do. I do about 8 shows a year in the New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island vicinity, or you can go onto my website, www.powerkid.net or www.sickpuppystudios.com.
So sweet. So check those out. Both books look really cool. We've had a chance to look them over. So stay tuned for more here in the B&M Baked Podcast in just a bit.
Thank you.
And we're back here in the B&M Baked Podcast, and we've had a chance to stop and talk with the guys from Mariposa. It's Alex Lowe. Tell us a bit about how you took off with your own book.
Well, The Magnificent Mariposa is a story about a plain Jane but brilliant researcher for a major pharmaceutical company. Her name is Maria Posada. She's unappreciated at work, unlucky in love, And through a series of spectacular events, she winds up becoming gifted with irresistible beauty, and she uses this power to fight against evil, but also she has to deal with the conflict of when you possess the ultimate beauty and the ultimate power, it's very hard not to use it for personal gain. So these stories are told in superhero format. She fights a lot of over-the-top supervillains. We incorporate really bright colors, a lot of humor in the stories, and the most beautiful female superheroine out there.
Wow. So you have an origin book and you have the 2 other books. Is there more books coming that people can look for? Or?
Absolutely. Right now we are selling the books when we go around to shows, but we have a website. It's Mariposa Publishing, LLC.com. We're eventually going to offer the books for sale through the website. We also have a Facebook page, Mariposa Publishing, LLC.com. I started this project about 2 years ago. I actually was working on a different comic book idea, and I wanted to see if the artist that was handling the pencils could handle the work in a timely manner. So we threw together a script for Mariposa, and the story just kind of took off. And it became our main project after that because we got a lot of positive feedback on it. People seem to like it. So now she's our flagship character.
Sweet. So get out there, check out Mariposa. They're here at ComiCONN and also online. Be back with more here in the B&M Podcast in just a bit. And we're back here at the B&M Baked Podcast, and we found the 80s day just keeps going here at the ComiCONN. Lionel, Lenny Keeney, it's an honor. Larry Keeney, sorry. I'm geeking out. I'm meeting Lionel, so I'll have a couple moments of this as we do the thing.
It's all right.
I got to say, as I was talking earlier, I was geeking out. I'm seeing the pictures, and now I heard your voice, and now I'm geeking out more. So, breathe. That's that's always what my therapist says. Breathe.
You'll
breathe.
be fine.
I know, I'm just
You'll
kidding. So, how'd you get involved in the whole voice acting thing back when it first
Well, I
started?
started in radio as a disc jockey when I was 15 years old.
Wow.
I was a junior in high school back in Illinois, in Peoria, Illinois, and even then I always did lots of cartoon characters and voices and impressions of people. You know, I was a class clown, you know, and fortunately that paid off because I would use character voices on my radio show, and then when I started getting into commercials, I started using it on, for example, Cocoa Puffs. I've been doing that. Sonny the Cocoa Puffs bird for 35 years. Count Chocula. Yeah. And then it came along a cartoon series: Thundercats, Silverhawks, Tiger Sharks, Karate Cat. It's paid off for me. All my life I had teachers and principals and authority figures telling me, I hope when you grow up you find a way to make a living from your jokes and funny little voices. Well, guess what? I did.
Yeah. Yeah. I know how you feel. I heard that same thing from my principals and teachers all my life. So Thundercats, when you were doing Thundercats, did you think Thundercats would be what Thundercats is? Because it's like, everyone knows Thundercats. If you're from the 80s, if you're a kid of the 80s, you know what Thundercats is.
Yeah, exactly. Well, of course, there was no way at the beginning that we could know it would be this big. I mean, we all knew the cast and the crew, and everybody knew we had a good product. I mean, from the very first, the writing was tremendous, and then we started seeing the animation.
It was crazy.
We record the voice first, and then they animate to that. So then when we saw it all put together, we thought, this is a really good show. Yeah. But of course, there's no way 30 years ago you could have sat back and said that 30 years from now I'll be standing here talking to you about Thundercats. So it's just been incredible. It's been a phenomenal thing.
So of course you're Lionel, and like you said, you did the guy from Cocoa Puffs.
Sonny?
Yep.
Up here, I won't go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Yahoo!
You thought the bird was talking? It's a cartoon.
It's the cartoon, exactly. And Count Chocula, of course.
I've been Count Chocula also for 35, 30, maybe 36 years. I don't know because I don't come out in daytime.
There you go. Now, do you eat Count Chocula cereal?
Do I eat Count Chocula?
Yeah.
I would if you paid me. I'll do anything to pay me. Well, I have tasted it.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yes, it is. It's delicious. Plug, looking for some sponsors. So, if people are looking for you now, do you have any things coming up that people can look for? Larry Keeney's out there, is there a website or anything?
As a matter of fact, this is like we rehearsed this, but we didn't. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, I just did last week some new commercials, a batch of commercials for Campbell's Chunky Soup that will be starting on the air on Monday, I think. Pardon me. You know the Mama's Boy football player? Well, Richard Sherman from the Seattle Seahawks is this year's
All right.
Mama's
Yeah,
Boy.
yeah, yeah.
So when you hear these commercials, it'll be me. Mama Sherman and her legion of fans make sure that Richard Sherman gets his Campbell's Chunky Chicken Noodle Soup. That's me.
Well, there you go.
And then also you might recognize this. Feel the rainbow, taste the rainbow. On Skittles commercials, that's me.
Yes, I thought so.
So I still got it.
I gotta say, I thought so.
I still got it. I still got it.
I love Skittles.
Still
That's
talking
Brian.
food.
It's like my editing food, Skittles. I live off Skittles. So, is there a website people can go to though? Is there anything? Are you going to be
I
around?
don't have my own website,
Any places you're going to
but
be that people can?
I have a Facebook page. Just
That works.
Well, I'm going to be in more Comic-Cons. I'll be in Tampa, Florida, September 12th, I think, the weekend of September 12th. And I'll be in Philadelphia the last weekend of September. And I'll be in Wales next February.
Wow, that's an itinerary right there. Jeez.
Stay tuned. Check my Facebook page. I always post where I'm going to be.
So have you ever does anyone come up dressed as Lionel and you start doing the voice to them and they just totally freak out and pass out?
2 or 3 times I've met Lion-O in person. Yeah.
It's like a pretty awesome cosplay. It takes a lot of work to do it, I could say. But I said at the beginning, it's an honor. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
You're one of the voices of my childhood.
Thank you very much.
So thank you for giving us the time. We appreciate it.
Thank all of you for being Thundercats fans, because if it wasn't for the fans, we wouldn't be here doing all of this.
Yes.
Just remember the code of Thundera and Thundercats. Ho!